One. Jake. We're live.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Oh, wait. Okay, so that's what you meant. Okay.
I meant the entire thing.
Oh,
You introduced today because I introduced the last two times.
shit. I'm sorry, man. I'm
No, no, you're fine. You're fine. This might be the best start to an episode we'll have.
Oh my gosh.
Uh, the best part is I found out Spotify has a video option or for our audio or our podcast. So you can watch this podcast on Spotify. So
Okay.
everyone could see what just happened here.
Oh man, we need to redo that.
What? Now let's just keep going.
All right.
All right. Take
All
two.
right. All right. Hello, welcome to Nothing Zilch Nada. I'm Jacob Green,
And I'm Xavier Dean.
and this is the podcast where we talk about whatever we want to talk about. Absolutely nothing. Just piles amounts of zilch and nada amounts of whatever we conjure up in this crazy world of ours.
You know what? Chef's kiss. 10 out of 10. uh, yeah,
Yeah,
a lot of people are going to be confused on that. 'Cause,
I'm sure they will.
well,
Um,
considering the first like minute is just me trying to go through thumbs up,
yep.
and you're giving the thumbs up back, and I'm like, where's the
It,
intro?
sorry for the misunderstanding. It's been a long week, and I'm sure
Honestly,
that's the case. I'm sure that's the case for both of us.
yes, very much so. Very much so. Luckily, you had a 4 day weekend, kind of. I still
Lucky
work.
for lucky for you, I don't get a weekend until like honestly, I don't think I get a break till like Thanksgiving break.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I mean, the graduate degree is way more different compared to bachelor's degree. When you're going for your bachelor's degree, and
Mhm.
this is the case no matter what degree you're going for, you're taking the classes that you have to take for your degree along with like all the other like requirements that have nothing to do with your major whatsoever. So,
Right.
this is just me talking about my degree experience, but like, you know, in your first semester, you could be taking like, oh, music theory and oral skills and music history, and then lessons and a couple of ensembles and whatnot. And then also on that same schedule, you got sociology that you have to take. Why do you have to take it? Is it related to music in any way? Nope.
Of course. Hey. Yes, it does.
It, not this sociology class, not the one that I took.
Hmm.
Actually, since we're just starting on that, maybe we could talk about like our college experience, I know you
Uh,
haven't like graduated yet, but like,
right.
you know,
I mean, why not? I will say part of mine is going to have to be more confidential just because I'm, going into special education. I've been to a couple clinical sites. Can't really say much about what happens in them.
yeah, definitely.
All right. But no, I'm fine with talking about that.
Hmm. Yeah. So maybe for me, just to start it off, since I introduced the topic.
Right.
So I remember my first semester. Now here's the thing, when it comes to majoring in music, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm.
People think like, oh, you're majoring in music, like uh they're they're thinking that you're just like majoring in like performance type stuff, like you're performing in ensembles and whatnot. And that's part of your degree for the most part. And like,
Right.
yes, I did major in performance, but I think what some people don't realize is that there's many different types of music degrees, You
Mm-hmm.
got music performance and music education. That's probably the two most common ones out there.
Right. And then there's the music therapy, which I think is one of the fastest growing music majors.
Yeah, well, depends because I'm not sure when it comes to other states, but I know in Illinois, I think there's only two schools that have degrees in music therapy.
Really? Huh.
As far as I know, I'm not entirely sure on that. I'll have to check up on that. But I know the school that I went to had a music therapy program. I know the school that you go to, you know, has
Mm.
a music therapy program as well. Those are
Right.
the I think those are the only two. Um, I know the school that I'm currently going to, I don't think they do have a music therapy program. I'm not sure.
Right.
But that is still a music degree.
Mm.
But you also have music composition and music business,
Right.
and there's a couple of other ones. Oh, and there's jazz studies, which I kind of put that with music performance
Mm-hmm.
because like you're focusing on like jazz specific elements, but it's
Right.
still all performance based. Same with like jazz composition, instead of just like doing classical composition or contemporary composition, you're doing composition that's tailored for jazz. So like small group stuff, big bands,
Mm-hmm.
those are like the common ensembles to write for.
All
And
right.
I think those are all the ones that I do know about. I feel
Mm.
like there's a couple that I'm forgetting about. But that is to say there's many different options when it comes to like majoring in music.
Okay.
And it doesn't even just stop with the degrees because, depending on what you do after college,
Mm-hmm.
like what exactly are you going to do with it? So like take me for instance, I have a performance degree and I if I really wanted to, I could teach like K through 12. I would
Right.
probably need to get a my license for teaching
Mm-hmm.
if
I
I
will
just like
say,
take.
I will say, and I know every teaching test is different, but the one I took for special education, I mean, it could just be because of my background, but it seemed like a lot of prior knowledge or stuff that normally came easy. So I think with how much or how in depth you are with your music, I feel like your content test would be pretty much the same as mine.
Yeah, well, I think it has. I don't think it just has to do with like your knowledge of music. I think it also has to do with, are you a competent teacher?
Hmm.
As in like, in other words, can you show up on time?
Right.
Um, like I can recall like people who are like taking some type of like teaching degree and like they
Hmm.
complain about the fact that like, oh, I have to get up for my 8 a.m. class. And like I understand, especially in the middle of the semester, you're kind of tired about a lot of things. But on the other hand, you're gonna be doing that where you're gonna be teaching anyways.
Yeah, I
So
mean, for me personally, just to make sure I'm at my site on time, I'm usually waking up around 6:30. Um, I mean, I know that's not as bad as certain people. I know there are a
yeah.
bunch of I know there's a bunch of teachers who will wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning just to make it to work.
I still wake up early still.
Hmm.
And part of it is a personal preference. The other thing is that on Tuesdays and Thursdays I have a 8:30 a.m. class and I usually show up like at least an hour before class just so that way I can warm up and practice my horn and whatnot.
Right,
Um,
right. Practicing your horn. I will say, good job on the hour.
you know what, we're not gonna get into that. Um, but
Right.
if you were taking like a music ed degree, you had the option of like, after graduating college, you could just start teaching K through 12 right away, and you
Right.
have some options. It's kind of different depending because there are people that major in like instrumental music education and then vocal music ed. Although
Hmm.
most music ed majors have to learn both sides because most
Right.
band programs, I know in our high school, we had both a band and a choir program.
Hmm. Yep.
Um, but you had the option of like, okay, do I want to teach middle and grade schoolers? Do I want to teach junior high? Do I want to teach high school? You have that option. And
Hmm.
you have to do at least a semester, well, a semester of student teaching
Right.
before
I mean,
you,
I'm pretty sure that's most teaching degrees. I know
yeah,
there's a
it,
lot more clinical experiences needed, but I know for me personally, I've only had one student teaching semester. That's the one I'm currently on right now.
yeah. But, once you're done with your semester of student teaching, you have also the option to just go to grad school right away, which
Hmm.
some music ed majors do. There are some music ed majors I know they majored in conducting. That's a very common grad degree program where they learn to like conduct an ensemble. Or uh, they get a performance degree, which might sound odd, but it's actually fairly common. And I think the reason why that is, through my experience, is if you don't end up like going to grad school for whatever reason, you at least have the teaching degree as an option, so that way you can make somewhat of a sustainable income.
Hmm.
But I think the other reason too is that even if you go for a grad degree, that teaching experience, learning like all the different instruments,
Hmm.
as well as learning how to teach students of like different levels,
Hmm.
I think that's the reason why, especially, after grad degree, you go for the doctoral degree. And that experience is like very helpful because, those people that get their doctoral degrees, they eventually want to teach at a college and have their own studio full of students to teach, and they might even teach a couple classes and whatnot. It kind of depends on the
Right.
position. It's different for every college. And that's kind of where I'm at. I have a performance degree, but I'm going to grad school and then eventually going to doctoral school. So that way, I can teach at a college level.
Hmm. Right.
But again, that's just music ed and music performance. You got music business, which there's a variety of options to choose from because
Hmm.
I took a music business course, and there's a lot of things involved with music business, when it comes to sound production is a big thing, working on the recording booth,
Hmm.
or like marketing, or working on different music platforms and whatnot, or working on different types of tools to like produce music with, or working at some music companies like Sweetwater as an example. It's probably one of the most common ones because they sell sound equipment and different kinds of instruments, guitars, basses, drums, saxophones, trumpets,
Hmm.
whole nine yards.
Right. All right.
Yeah, but I remember my first semester, and like it was fairly easy, They were kind of easing you into the school year a little bit. And it was different. My schedule was different compared to like some of the people who were in music ed because, I did theory classes, I did oral skills, I did history, and then
Hmm.
they had to do all that on top of the instrumental classes, where you had to learn like, oh, this semester we're learning woodwind instruments, and then the next semester we're learning brass instruments.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so I had to do that, and I did ensembles. I think I was always in like three ensembles throughout my time in undergrad. And I also took lessons uh throughout the course of my undergrad as well. It was a big requirement for me as a performance major. Most people, no matter what degree you are, you have to like take lessons.
Hmm.
But in the case of my program, the difference was uh once you passed a certain amount of juries, your credit hours get bumped up. So like in the beginning of, I think it was the first three semesters, I was just taking 2 credit hours, but then after
Hmm.
that point, I was taking 4 credit hours until I graduated.
All right. All right.
Yeah, but for other people it's different, they could just stick to the 2 credit hours, and then at a certain point they don't have to do lessons anymore because they fill in the requirement that they need. Although
Hmm.
most people still like to take lessons anyway because it's very beneficial.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, I
but
mean, I mean,
yeah,
like what I've told one of my students today, sometimes the uh best way to learn something is to never mind, thought of something different. Sorry, again, it has been a long week.
you and me both.
Hmm.
Um, anyways, where was I going with this? Oh yeah. So each semester I basically had like ensembles and lessons,
Hmm.
and then slightly different music courses. Towards the end of my undergrad degree, I was taking more jazz related classes.
Hmm.
You know, I had to take jazz piano, jazz composition, both of which were very beneficial for me, especially, going to grad school now because I major in jazz performance now.
Right.
Um, but I want to say for 7 straight semesters, I was at least taking 1 or 3 gen ed classes. And they ranged
Hmm.
from most of them were kind of okay. They
All
were
right.
kind of okay. A couple were up here. They were pretty good, like way beyond my expectations. And
Hmm.
then you got the we'll just call it the lower tier. You know, these are kind of like the classes where you say to yourself, why am I taking these?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Why
Yeah.
are you taking those classes, Jake?
I don't know. I could tell you the first gen ed class that I take, and there's a pretty
Hmm.
interesting story behind this because it was how um I was able to make friends with somebody.
Oh,
It wasn't the
oh,
only
you're
it
cheating
wasn't
on
the
me
only
for another friend.
no, but it wasn't the only way. I'll get to that though. So the class that I took was a sociology class. Now,
Hmm.
keep in mind, my first semester of school, it was 2020.
Yep.
For the most part, I most of my classes were in person, and they were the music classes. This one was not just an online class, it was an asynchronous class. And
Mm.
for those of you in the audience who don't know what asynchronous means, because I know there are some people that don't know what the term means,
Hmm.
it means that there's no scheduled courses. You basically take the class on your own. You have due
Hmm.
dates for assignments and stuff to read and whatnot, but you don't have to attend any classes whatsoever. Now, for some people, they might see it as a good thing, and that's understandable, because it's like, why do I want to take a course that's not related to my degree whatsoever? I could just take the same synchronous course and not have to worry showing up to like an hour long class and then having to book half across campus just to head to another course that I actually care about. And I end up showing up late sometimes because I'm trying to run halfway across through campus.
Right.
Again, I can understand that, but there are
Hmm.
some people, including myself, that rather take an in-person course or at the very least an online course because like I am someone that would like to have some explanation for the information that is given to me,
Hmm.
as long as the teacher is able to convey it, convey the information in a way that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah, but the sociology course, uh, we had this textbook which you had to put into a binder.
Okay.
And, I was reading it and I kept saying to myself, like, this stuff doesn't really make any sense whatsoever. I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty of it, but it really did feel like a waste of time for me. But that's where my friend came into play. Now, the interesting thing about her, both of us, we actually first met each other in the jazz ensemble that we were in. And we also played in the same wind band ensemble too. And
Hmm.
she was also a saxophonist, except
Okay.
she had a minor in music at the time, and she was a pharmacology major. In other words, she majored in drugs.
Nice. I'm not gonna lie. When you were about to say that, I thought you were gonna say something about how she looked. Like I said, ladies. single. He's single.
Let me continue on from this. So, but we realized, looking at the online course, looking at the
Mhm.
list of students, we were taking the same course. So we decided, hey, maybe sometime on the weekends, why not be study partners? I think there were only 3 exams throughout the course of that semester.
Mhm. Your study
Going over
buddies.
going over like 3 or 4 chapters per exam. But
Mhm.
here's the interesting thing, because uh, for me and my friend, we had very similar viewpoints when it came to our general understanding of the world. We kind of agreed on the same stuff. So
Mhm.
when we studied the sociology textbook, we were like, this doesn't really make any sense to us. So I'm gonna tell you in just a simple sentence how our study sessions went.
Whoa, whoa, hold on. Hold on. You gotta
50.
remember.
No, 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 no,
PG
no.
13.
Yes.
PG
Oh,
13.
oh my gosh.
We don't need all that detail, Jake.
I said it was a simple sentence. And you're over exaggerating it. No.
You're right.
50%
You're
of
right.
the
They never made it
50%
that far.
50% of our study sessions was actually like studying the material,
And then the
and then
other
the other
50 was
was straight up
yeah.
making fun of it.
Oh, wow.
Oh, come on. I told you, you were over exaggerating it.
I know.
Yeah. I remember us just like poking fun at the textbook,
Hmm.
because there were some pages where it's just like it was straight up creepy. They would use like creepy images of people. There were people, I kid you not, that looked like they had freaking plastic surgery.
I mean, just look at any current magazine. I mean, half the celebrities look like they're on their way to becoming glorified Barbie and Ken dolls.
My man, that's been the case for 2 decades now.
Oh, I'm well aware. I'm well aware.
It's probably gone on even longer than that, and we just didn't even know it.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I know the past, at the very least, decade and a half has been poking fun of how much plastic goes into prosthetics and cosmetics.
Yeah. Yeah, but by and large, both of us passed the course. I think I ended up getting a B minus overall.
Unacceptable, Jake. You have to get nothing but straight A's or nothing but F's.
Hey,
You gotta go extreme.
I am a consistent A and B student.
So you gotta get straight A's.
Look, I passed A's on a lot of my music courses throughout the course of my undergrad. Leave me alone.
uh,
Yeah, but sociology, that was the first gen ed class. Um, let's see. The next 2 semesters, I took math courses, and I also took English courses as well. And there wasn't anything remarkable about those. Again, these were like mid,
mhm,
very, very middle of the road courses. They weren't offensive. They weren't the best. They were just kind of there.
right.
I will say though, for both of those, I learned way better math and English, which English courses are basically just writing papers, but I learned it better
Hmm.
in high school.
Yes. Oh,
Just
definitely.
yeah. Um, yeah, so I did that. And then the second semester of my sophomore year, I I took a public speaking course. And
Mhm.
that was yet another course where it felt like the biggest waste of time out
Mm.
there. And I will tell you why. And
Hmm.
that is because the person who was teaching the course uh, did not do a very good job, and he was a hypocrite. Like,
Hmm.
let me give you an example.
Okay.
So he would be saying, oh, when you're out like speaking to the public, you shouldn't be having your hands in your pockets and whatnot. And then the dude has his hands in his pockets.
Right.
Like,
That's
yeah,
that's like saying don't, when you're walking, after a race, don't have your hands over your head and then immediately do that as you're walking towards the person with water.
yeah, yeah. And I remember me and one of my colleagues who also majored in music and was taking the course. We were most of our discussions, our heated discussions, just had to do how much we did not like taking the course. We both felt like it was just a waste of time.
Right.
Um, yeah. And then let's see, the next semester, I took three courses, three gen ed courses. I did
Hmm.
theater, which was pretty good. It was a
Right.
pretty good course. The only problem with it, you know, which was kind of an unfortunate one, the teacher was sick for most of it. So we
Oh.
we barely had any like weekly courses. But the beginning of it, it was very good. He was very entertaining for a
Hmm.
teacher. And it was a theater course. But like I remember we would watch movies, parts of movies or shows, and we would have to like analyze the scene. It was very engaging.
Wait, for a theater class?
Yeah.
Huh. I've had different
Uh
experiences in theater classes. Uh,
let's see. And then I took an Eastern religion course, which focused on like religion from like the Asian countries. So
hmm.
like Hinduism, Buddhism, and there's probably some other ones I can't think off the top of my head.
Okay.
And I took that course, just because I had to take it, but also because, I have I know well enough the Western religion side, and I wanted to explore more the Eastern religion because I only knew very little about it. And I'm glad I
Mhm.
took the course. It gave me more of an understanding about, what goes on in the East, so to say. But
Right.
then there was another course I took, and it was a stress management course. And I thought, again, I took it because I needed that credit hour.
I mean, it sounds like a good class in theory.
It wasn't. It
Uh,
wasn't. Again, this was another class where it was the biggest waste of time. And if you could believe it, this class caused me more stress than,
mhm.
actual stress management. Now,
Oh, I
I
I
want to
can
say,
believe it.
I want to say it wasn't horrible. Like it's
Mhm.
not like we were given a ton of assignments. That wasn't the issue. The issue was this class for me was like I literally had to go all the way from one end of campus to another. I had to like bike over there most of the
Okay.
time.
Right. Right.
But here's the thing. The teacher that was teaching that course, she never sent emails
What?
whatsoever.
How is she
And it
meant
was
to get the
it
information?
yeah. Yeah, I was asking the same question too. And the worst thing was like, oh, we would be just sitting in class today and like, sometimes we'll be sitting there for 5 minutes and then she would tell us, okay, go home.
Hmm.
And I was like, you could have told us to not show up to class today. What was
Yes.
the point
That.
of this?
Hmm. That sounds like a real waste of time. I mean, it
Yeah.
shows your dedication if you show up, and then she says it, but at the same time, it it's just a waste of time. You could have spent your time doing something more important.
You want to know the other annoying thing about this course was that there were some people that did not show up on time or didn't show up to class at all. And yet,
Mhm.
I don't know.
All right. Okay. I
Yeah,
think you know.
but yeah. I let's see. I'm trying to think.
All right. So just to give you a heads up, we are this close to running out of time for our first segment.
Okay. So I guess I'll cap off with just going through quick rundowns of like the rest of my courses. So like
Hmm.
the next semester after that, I took a geology course, which was the best course that I took for
Okay.
something that I did not have high expectations for because the teacher was excellent. Like the way that she had us study the material, it was just incredible. And then my last semester for gen ed courses, I took a philosophy course, and that one was asynchronous.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it was a full wait, no, it wasn't philosophy. It was psychology.
Okay.
Um, but still, like it was a very useful thing to know. And my brother is got his bachelor's and he's going for his master's in psychology too. So it was pretty cool to study some of that.
All right.
Yeah. So all in all, in saying that, like for people that want to go to college, if you have the guts to go through 4 years of college, just be prepared for
Hmm.
classes that you might not want to take. But it's not like you are limited in choices always. You have some leeway. Always try to look at the course descriptions and then try to judge and see what courses might work best for you. It's
Hmm.
not it's not the most reliable thing out there, but it's probably the best option that you got.
Right.
Or you could talk to other people that have taken those courses and they would be like, "Oh yeah, take this course. This
Hmm.
will help you a lot."
Right. All right. Well, with that, we gotta move on to our next segment. Now, because this entire time was more focusing on you and your experience with college, I think this next segment I should start talking about my experience throughout college.
Yeah.
Uh,
My apologies. I was kind
oh,
of on a rant.
no, no, you're fine. You're fine. I mean, if you hadn't wasted that, minute and a half, just sitting there. Uh, all right. I mean that as a joke, Jake. All
Duly
right.
noted.
All right. We'll be back with my college experience. And welcome back. And if I remember correctly from earlier, we were talking about Jake's time with college as a music production major.
Music performance.
Performance.
There's a difference.
Yeah. Well, is there? I mean, no, I guess, because you can perform something that you don't produce.
Mhm.
Okay,
Although there are music artists that are producers for some of their own records.
Yes. There's a lot of them.
Yeah. I will also say too, this is something that my teacher told me once is no matter where you are in the music field, you are always a scholar. You are always learning something new.
Right. Right. All right. So we were talking about music performance, and now we will be talking about my major.
College
And
horror stories.
what's that?
Your college horror stories.
They aren't that much of horror stories. Yeah, there might be a few. We'll get there eventually. Low brass band motto 2019. So let's dive into my experience in becoming a special ed major. And the best way to start, end of high school, COVID times, 2020. So I, so the main difference between my education and Jake's education is he went to a 4-year university right away. I, on the other hand, went to a community college my first 2 semesters and then transferred to a 4-year for my final 2.5. And I'll explain the half later. So I started off at this community college about 30 minutes from where I live. And you know how you had it where you were you had like one gen ed, you kept adding on as time went on.
Yeah, out of my own will, sure.
hmm So I did all of them right away through this community college. So I started in the summer with a child growth and development psychology class that was completely online, again, because of COVID. I wasn't allowed in my school until my first year was completed, pretty much. But anyway, so my first class was an online child growth and development class. Which, by the way, if you're just starting out as a college student, do not have your first and only class online because the structure between, high school and taking an online class are completely different things. Just like Jake's asynchronous class, this was one where you didn't have any scheduled seminars. You only got the assignments, the recommended readings, and the due dates. And because at the time I was just starting out at Subway and I was, doing a bunch of other, side quests throughout Streeter, I may or may not have failed the first time around. And then the next semester, I took it again. And then I took 4 other gen eds. One of them was like a music theory class. No, it was music appreciation. I had music appreciation. I want to say an English class, which I dropped. A uh, a biology class, which I ended up failing, and a math class. So out of all of my classes for that semester, I passed, I passed music appreciation and I passed math. I dropped reading because I had an essay through the computer get messed up, had the same page copied several times over, and the rest of the essay deleted. And I didn't know that happened until I sent it in to the professor. And I didn't know about it until a month later when I got my grade back and I asked if I could, resubmit it. Didn't go over well. I wasn't, basically, I wasn't allowed to for the sole reason that it, if anyone else had asked, they would have gotten to know.
Can I just say two things about this?
Yes.
Yeah, so first off, that is awful,
hmm
having a problem with like your paper, not being able, well, it's one thing if the paper is entirely deleted, but being copied from one page to another, that's something I haven't experienced.
Right.
Also, other question, you got your grade back a month later?
Yes, I got my grade back a month later.
Why? That's so long.
So that teacher was notorious for not grading things until the end of the month.
Mm.
Particularly, she would you would get, these like small assignments you had to do, and then these big projects you had to do, and she took a month on each of those to grade them. So, like I said, I didn't get my grade back for that essay until we were about to start a brand new one a month later.
That, that, that's so inefficient. Because
It
like,
is.
because like it doesn't help the student because the whole point of writing a paper for any type of course, doesn't matter what level you are, it should take you at least a week, maybe 2 weeks, just to
Mm,
review the papers. And like, I understand when it comes to college courses in particular, you probably have like, I don't know, 20 plus, 30 plus students.
right.
Might be bigger depending, but
Mhm.
you gotta find a system in order to efficiently grade those papers. Because like, if the next paper is gonna be, let's say, you write your paper, you turn it in, you get the paper back like a week or 2 weeks, and
Mhm.
then in about like 4 weeks, you have to write another paper. That previous paper will help you to improve upon what you could do for the next paper. And
Right.
I'm grateful for my mom for doing this in particular. You know, my
Mhm.
problem when it came to writing papers was I had grammatical errors.
Mhm.
And my grammatical errors were I mixed my past and present tense verbs, and I also mixed my meanings of pronouns sometimes. I also had certain redundancies too.
Right.
I would use more redundant words. Um,
Mhm. I
but
I will say I've mean to correct you on this. I didn't want to correct you, but we're 3 episodes in, and I think I have to specify this. Every time you say there, you're using the wrong there. I've been meaning to mention this all this entire thing, and I'm sitting here like, no, he probably's gonna fix it. He probably knows that when he said there over there, he said there as possessive both times.
it's an accent thing.
It's an accent thing. Uh, right.
It's like when you're out in the Wild West and you have certain ways of pronouncing like common words.
Yep. Yep. Hey, what you doing there, partner?
What entire nation is this hoondoggy doing?
Yeah. Yep. But so anyway, going back to the community college. So that was my first full semester, and then the next semester, I'm trying to remember all the classes. I took, and this one I had like a mix between, oh, wait, maybe I didn't. No, that was the one after. Anyway, so this one I had, if I remember correctly, I took that English class again, but with a different professor, who, by the way, was so much better of a professor than the first person. I took I took the second part of the math, uh, or the math classes, because they had those split up into two. I took health, or like a first aid that semester. I took speech class, which, by the way, I had some of the best thought up speeches in my own personal view. I had a speech talking about why the MPAA has those movie theater ratings. And I thought it was pretty good. Not to toot my own horn.
Yeah, tell us a wise one about why the MPAA has a great rating system.
So that will be for another episode, Jake.
Okay.
I will have to section that off to another episode, both for timing's sake and for the fact that that is its own separate subject. No, but anyway, there was those, and then there was another class I took, and I don't remember what it was. Oh, it was this online class that met every 2 weeks. It was like I think it was called Exceptional Learner. It was basically my first teaching class.
Okay.
So anyway, so I took those ones and I passed all of those, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I passed all those. And then the semester after that, I took that child growth and development class one more time. And so the community college had three different formats. There was that online one, which is why I took that summer. That was completely unstructured, and I completely forgot about it for some of the weeks. There was my second time round, which was blended. It When it was said blended, I thought it meant there's gonna be some in-person classes, or some online classes. All of the classes were online. It was literally the same thing, but with Zoom meetings once a week, which I did better at, but barely failed. I took it, and I took it that third time in person and ended up passing that last time. But there was that. I had a film class, which was pretty fun. Just sat around twice a week talking about movies. It's right up my alley. There was another English class I had to take, which wasn't too bad. There was a weather and climate class that I took, and then I took a comparative religion class. And I gotta tell you about the professor for a second. So imagine a math teacher. That was how this guy looked. He looked
Okay.
like a math teacher. And again, this is comparative religion.
So he looks like Sheldon.
No, 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 a different math teacher. Not the skinny math teachers. They're pencil thin and super tall. The other math teachers. No, but anyway, so there was that. And then because it was still during COVID, we all had to wear masks. I kid you not. The way his mask moved when he was talking, it was like you were looking at a bird person. The way the mask moved made it look like a little beak.
I think that's the case with some of those like because you know you got the face masks that like kind
Mm,
of like flatten the face a little bit, but then you got the ones that are kind of like at like a very pointed angle, either like this
yes.
way or this way.
So when you have it this way, it looks like you're talking like a beak or talking
Wait,
through a beak.
I I have a proposition to make
What?
about your math teacher.
Well, this was
If
a comparative religion
it
teacher or
the
comparative religion professor.
oh
He just looked like a math teacher.
okay. Well, either way, I just thought of something.
What?
If you put a hat on him, he's Perry the Platypus.
Honestly, I could see it. I could see it. No, but anyway, so and I probably would have done a lot better in the class. I passed, but I probably would have done a lot better if it wasn't for the fact that his voice was soothing. May or may not have fallen asleep in this class a couple times. I'm not happy about it, but it happened. Yep. That's there was that. My third semester, and then my fourth semester, I took a multicultural education class, a like an educational technologies class, because again, I'm going into special education. I need to know about these different assistive technologies. There was these were all in person. Trying to remember what else. I had a theater class that semester. Which, by the way, you know how you said that your theater class had the you're watching things from movies and TV shows, like clips?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it wasn't just that, we
Right.
read Death of a Salesman.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. Which, by the way, that's a really good play to check out, Just either watching it or just reading it. It's
Mhm.
very fascinating.
Right. Right. So the theater class I took, like we had discussions on the different genres of music and musicals. We were given essays where we had to watch a couple of different things. One of the things we had to watch was the Legally Blonde musical, which I can do without. I There is no other musical could go more without. I, Literally, the only good thing that came out of Legally Blonde itself was the fact that I now know that you can't get a perm wet 24 hours after you do it. That is the only information I retained from that movie.
Did you happen to learn anything about the musicals that we have seen? You know, Wicked,
Mm,
Hamilton,
um, no.
because Hamilton would be a cool musical to study.
Hamilton would. Well, I think part of it's just because it's historical.
It's historical, but you can analyze the
Mhm,
music and you would get like a ton of information out of it.
mhm. Like the fact that uh Philip stops, when he's seeing his numbers, he stops at 7. Onto tora. What's I need to listen to that again. But he goes up to 7, and then on the song Blow Us All Away, when they're counting, he counts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then his opponent shoots him. Also, if you want a good listen, there is a sec or there's a set of songs that were deleted from Hamilton that a bunch of people have sang through. And the two I would recommend is Congratulations, which was supposed to be in between the Reynolds pamphlet and Burn. It's basically Angelica Schuyler yelling at Alexander Hamilton for, cheating on her sister. And then the second song is First Burn, which was originally going to be what became Burn, which
Okay.
which I feel that one is more heartbreaking and more emotional than the Burn we got. But the Burn we got works better for the musical. No, but anyway,
Oh,
what's up?
I was just, you were talking about deleted songs from Hamilton, and
Mm,
like I think there was one having to do with a certain point in U.S. history, and I can't remember. It had to do with like George Washington leading his army.
Hmm.
But
Uh,
the one thing I remember about the song is that it talked about how miserable they were, and that there was a lot of no words in there.
yes. A lot of no words. So I
All
don't
right.
know what song you're talking about, although now this makes me want to go through the mixtape. Way to go,
Yeah.
Jake.
Oh,
First get Alan Silvestri stuck in my head for a week, and now I'm gonna be stuck listening to Hamilton.
sorry, I'm a musician. It's
I
part of
know.
my blood.
I know, I know. No, but anyway, so you were talking about how your class had a lot of, clip watching. We didn't really have any clip watching for that. Like he sent videos for us to watch on our free time, but the only videos we had to watch was, Legally Blonde, a rendition of I think it was called Our House, which is a really sad play. Pretty sure it was Our House. And then there was like a Renaissance Fair comedy rendition that was completely improvised that we had to watch.
So Mighty Python and the Holy Grail.
No, 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 a lot more low budget than my Python and the Holy Grail. Honestly, one of the character or one of the actors in there dressed up as if he were playing Robin Hood in the Mel Brooks movie Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Ah, yes.
Uh, I want to rewatch that so badly, but I don't know which streaming service it's on.
I need to rewatch that too.
Mm.
It's been a while.
Yeah, I know it. Anyway, those
Wait,
were it. Everything else we talked about, it was either discussions of the different musical genres or the different aspects of musicals and theater itself. So we had a day where we were talking about sound. We had a day talking about the props. We had a day where we were going over different theater drills and just all of that stuff. It's probably the most fun I've ever had in a class like that. So, and then let's see. I said that multicultural ed, tech ed. There was another class. Oh, so you know how you took a like a stress strategies class?
stress management?
Yes, stress management. So I ended up going into a similar-ish direction and took it was a social problems class, which I thought was just going to be us talking about like present day, current day social problems. But instead, it was talking about a bunch of like big social problems with society that no one talks about anymore from the past to the present. And the funny part was, I took that class with one of our peers.
Uh,
Think of the other long haired guy that we know. He played bassoon.
oh, okay.
Yep,
Yep.
him. He was in the class with me, so there would be times before and after where we would just talk, like continue talking just to each other about the social problems or to the professor about those social problems. And honestly, it was a pretty good class if we didn't get derailed as much as we did. But then after that, I graduated from that community college. spring 2022. And then the fall, I transferred to my current university, where instead of having to deal with any general ed classes, because I graduated with an associate's degree, I started just going right into the classes I needed for special education. And a lot of the classes are pretty much repetitive. There was another multicultural education class I had to take. There were several classes talking about, making IEPs and creating assessments. I had a couple assistive technology classes. There was a transitions goals classes because once a special ed student hits a certain age, they will be given a transition goal for once they are done with school. No, like I said, a lot of my classes involved teaching and making or filling out all these different forms, making assessments. And each semester I had a different experience, like a different learning experience for clinicals and different hours. So my first semester there, I didn't technically have clinicals, but for one of my classes, that was basically another multicultural-ish ed. We had it where you had your choice of going to like a detention, uh, like a detention agency or something like that, and try to connect uh to any of the younger kids there, or you would go to this school that was about a mile and a half from the university and be a recess monitor, which I did that. I was the recess monitor, and if I remember correctly, you needed 50 hours. No, you didn't need 50. You needed 25 hours that semester. So that was where my 25 hours went to. The next semester was another 25, I think. Maybe it was 50. I don't know. Basically, the next semester was I was going to a school to tutor a student in reading and language arts.
Mhm.
After that was my practicum semester, which was when a lot of people would say that my student teaching would start because I was spending more time in the classroom. So I was placed in a high school setting with students uh with instructional disabilities or like less or more learning disabilities than anything else. So this wasn't like your students with autism or ADHD. This was more students who had trouble with homework completion, staying on task, stuff like that, which I mean technically is ADHD, but again,
Mhm.
these weren't students that needed all these, like big supports. These were more students that needed, additional time. They needed altered worksheets. They needed stuff like that. So I was in that setting 2 days a week for a full semester, which gave me, I think, 50 to 100 hours. And with that, I was in the school all day. And I went from, observing a little bit to eventually teaching some of the classes. After that, this past semester, spring 2024. Yeah, we're in 2024. So this past semester was my field base, which is closer to student teaching than practicum. Basically, there I was in the school 5 days a week. I was there for the full day, 3 days a week, and then the other 2 days a week, I left half the day to go to a class that would help with, writing lesson plans and again, just more talking about these forms that we need to fill out.
Mhm.
So this second placement I was in an elementary school, kindergarten and first grade adaptive classroom. So this had those students who needed more supports and like needed more direct intervention. Because you have some students who could go into a classroom and need so much as an aide in the classroom to help them. And then you have those
Mhm.
students who have to be in these specific special ed classrooms
Mhm.
because of their disability and how it impedes on uh well, you know what I mean. But
Yeah.
anyway, so I was placed in a kindergarten and first grade adaptive classroom, and that gave me a lot of experience. And that this past semester is the last semester for actual classes. So I no longer have classes themselves, but this current semester I am uh I am in a behavioral setting for middle schoolers, which is one of the big things that the program at my college does. They have it where if you're going into special education, you're not just going into one branch, you're going through all the branches, all the grade levels, just to have a little bit of knowledge in all of them.
Mhm.
So, first one I was in was instructional, and this last one was adaptive. Now this one is behavioral. So I am placed at a site specifically for students with behavioral disabilities, and I am placed within the middle school classrooms. And, you know, from what I've been told about other uh, education majors, special education does a lot better job at preparing their students for teaching by giving us more experiences. Most, or at the very least, elementary ed at the same school, you get your 2 days a week and then you're in student teaching. Whereas for special ed, you get placed in all these different places, slowly building up, and then eventually it all breaks down to student teaching. But besides that, I plan to graduate this winter. So far, it appears I'm on track. Couple things I need to work on, but besides that, I think I'm gonna be good and ready to teach in January.
Yeah. Bottom line is being a college student is uh sometimes not easy.
Yes, especially if you have other things like a job or volunteering or just extra stuff like that. All right,
Yeah.
so with that, I will end my section. So, Jake, do you have a third section thought of or thought up? Or would you rather I try to think of something?
Let's see what we conjure up in the next few minutes.
Let's see what we conjure up. All right. Um, all right. Well, because of where we're at time-wise, we're gonna come back and then we'll see what kind of conversation we can conjure up. All right. When we're back, and Jake, what topic will we be discussing?
Well, let me start it off with a very simple question. Have any of you remembered the Lego movies? And
Uh,
yes, I say movies plural.
mm-hmm. Yep, I remember all of those Lego movies.
Yeah, all four
Lego
of them.
Friends, Girls for Life, Lego Star Wars.
Not
Lego.
those ones.
I know.
We're not talking the CG ones. Although,
Mhm.
on a side note, uh, one of these on one of these podcasts, we're going to talk about Ninjago at some point, especially
Yes.
since as of late, I have been rewatching the series and I have
hmm
some takes on it. Although we'll probably get to some of it here.
hmm
But um
Yep. Just when you think that we are serious adults, we start talking about Legos.
yeah. Actually, on a side note,
hmm
before I wanted to be a music major, I actually really wanted to be a Lego designer. Because just to put into a picture, during junior high and even in like middle school, I did a lot of like arts and crafts type stuff,
hmm
mostly due to my mom. My mom is a very artistic inspired person. You walk into my parents' house and a lot of the stuff that's in the living room, in the kitchen, and downstairs, all around the house, she made it on her own. And she
hmm
also happens to be a very great painter as well.
Yes. Yes, she
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. And then both of my sisters, they took art classes. And then I also took an art class as well with at a Catholic grade school. And the
hmm
art teacher there was really great. We got to one of the cool things that we did was we got to do a lot of stuff with like ceramics and whatnot. And she had a
hmm
certain furnace that allowed us to, use acrylic paints and whatnot. So
Right.
that way we form into whatever project we're working on. Could be animals, could be some sort of object and whatnot. And then she would heat it up and then well, first it would dry, and then we would paint it with whatever colors we want.
Indigo.
Yeah. Actually, the cool thing about acrylic paints is what color you want is not always what's going to appear at first. So, as an
Yeah.
example, I always like to paint the dark blue because at first it wasn't, well, it's not really a dark blue. I should call it a midnight blue.
Oh,
But
how
it was a
how very mindful. How very
the
demure. Demure?
Yeah, but it was a light pink. It was a light pink at first, but then once it heated up, it was midnight blue.
You know what? That would be an awesome gender reveal. All right, so we're gonna paint the color of our child's gender on the ceramic pot, and they just start painting pink, and it's like, it's a girl! Now hold on, wait a second. Let it heat up. Once it's done, it's a boy!
I just never, that's actually pretty clever. I never thought of it that way. Anyways, that
Ah,
is to
that's
say,
why I'm your friend. I
yeah,
think about things that you don't.
and I think about things that you don't.
Yes.
Yeah.
hmm
Anyways, that is to say, I did a lot of stuff with art, especially when I got into music. Um, but one of the things I was into early on was Legos. And to this day, there is still a bunch of Legos in the house.
hmm
Some of which was like collected by my brother, some of which was collected by me. And I pardon the pun, I was a Lego maniac. You know those
hmm
commercials where it's like the Lego maniac?
Yep.
Yep, I was one of those. I got Lego magazine at the time, the Lego Club magazine, and I was into like the certain Lego franchises. I'm not talking like, the ones that were already established, like Star Wars and Harry Potter and whatnot. Although
Right,
those
you're
sets,
talking. What was that?
yeah, I'm talking like the ones that were created in-house in Lego. So like
Yes, Chima,
I
the Legend of Chima.
I didn't think you would mention that.
What?
Um,
What makes you think I wouldn't mention it?
I don't know.
I was
Doesn't
a
get talked
nerd growing
about.
up.
It
Played
it
with
doesn't
Legos.
it doesn't get talked about as much as some of the other
No,
ones.
that's why I
Anyways,
remember it.
yeah, yeah. Well, I think with most people when they think of Lego franchises, something not made of bricks is Bionicle. That was
Oh
what my
yes.
that's what my brother was into.
Yeah, I
I
thought Hero
never
Factory was better.
they got their differences between them. I think
Mhm.
they have both upsides and downsides to both of them. But
You want to know something really weird?
what's that?
There is a Bionicle board game. We have it at my grandparents' house, and it is so weird. You basically roll a die after you pick your character, and you go a certain way, and I'm trying to remember what you do. It's like you go a certain way, and then you pick up a card, and it tells you how many more forward or back you go. And like there's, the different characters each have a different thing, and you have this big evil guy that you had to catapult a fireball towards. It was a really complex board game.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I grew up with all kinds of Legos around the house, and I was a big fan of like certain franchises. Now,
Mhm.
there were Lego movies or Lego shows, but
Mhm.
they were made with CGI, there was nothing wrong with them. I was a big fan of Ninjago. I was a big fan of like some of the Hero Factory stuff that came out. Legends of
Mhm.
Shima
Yep.
was okay. I like the sets. The show was kind of, yes, it's kind of a hot take of mine.
I mean, to be fair, we're probably the only two people who actually remember Legend of Chima.
Yeah.
And I don't even remember that much. I just remember there was a crocodile guy, a lion guy, and I think, falcon lady.
let, let me just summarize it by stating a positive and a negative point.
Okay.
Positive point, it has a pretty cool established world.
Hmm.
Might I say it's actually way more creative than Ninjago in some cases. Negative side, the writing is kind of bad.
Well, it's a kids show. Or it's a
Yeah.
kids show.
Yeah.
So
Well,
people won't.
Even Ninjago like has very mature writing, especially for the kids that they were writing for at the time. And keep in
Right.
mind, Legends of Shima was created by the same people that made Ninjago.
Hmm.
So there's
Yeah.
that. Um, and we might in a later episode of the podcast, we might have to talk about both of them at the same time because
Hmm.
there's a weird correlation between them, besides, having the same creators and whatnot.
Yep.
Anyways, but there were shows, there were movies, and in terms of like art style, they were pretty all right, maybe spectacular in some cases. But then 2014, in fact, I think the first trailer, yeah, released in 2013 for like the
Hmm.
first Lego movie. And I remember my jaw dropping on the floor. Like, this isn't CGI. Well, okay, it
Hmm.
was CGI, but it was enhanced stop motion
Yes.
CGI. and it was with real Legos. And not only was it with real Legos, but like they used certain characters from franchises, even certain like IPs. Because of course, since the movie was being distributed by Warner Brothers, they were able to use some of the characters that were related to that franchise. So, for example, Lord of the Rings, DC,
Mm.
um,
Harry Potter.
yeah, Harry Potter as
Yeah.
well.
It's
They,
pronounced Dumbledore.
I forget. Well, we'll probably get to that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but the trailer released, and the coolest thing about it, besides some of the IP representation, was, you know, how creative it all looks. We weren't exactly sure where the story was going to go at the time. You
We
know,
didn't care. It was Lego.
yeah. All we knew is there was this one guy, your average looking guy that wears like construction uh gear,
Hmm.
and he ends up coming across some type of relic, and then he goes on this big adventure that he has no idea what he's in for.
Hmm. And with arguably the best joke or the best live action-ish Batman, and you can all fight me on that. That is my hot take for the day.
I
I feel
think
like Will Arnett's Lego Batman is a better Batman than Christian Bale, than Michael Keaton, than Robert Patterson. Patterson? Pattinson?
I don't remember.
See that yeah. And he is definitely better than Val Kilmer. The only Batman that I think stands a chance against Will Arnett, and I mean it's a really good chance for this one. It's Kevin Conroy.
Oh yeah, always.
Hmm.
Um,
But
yeah, so and one of the reasons I wanted to talk about, you know, these Lego movies, or just specifically the first one, is because uh you and I remember we went to first see this movie together in theaters.
did we?
Yes, we did.
Oh,
Let me paint you a picture. So because I remember this.
okay.
Because so this is dating back to 2014, and this was in February during the winter. I think we watched it on Valentine's Day. I'm not sure.
So that was our first date. Okay.
Okay.
Got got me
So
messed up for a
no,
second.
no. So for those of you that don't know, my dad is a financial planner,
Hmm.
and one of the things that he does for like the organization that he works for is that they do these fundraisers, or like these special events for something special for his clients to come over and do. Uh, Sometimes it's like going to a restaurant, and they still do this to this very day. Usually it's my mom planning the events. Um, but sometimes it's at a restaurant, sometimes it's just at a simple coffee shop. Like, like during the summer, me, and then our coworkers and our boss went to the coffee shop and ordered food.
Yes.
That was
Hmm. It was a
the
pretty
reason
nice
why.
day.
Yeah. But this particular event, um, it was taking place in a movie theater that is not even open anymore, which is very sad to me, because I
Hmm.
think even with the current movie theater that we have now, this one will always live in my heart. And that
Mm.
is the Majestic.
Yes. Such a
Yeah.
majestic theater.
See, you got a couple. different sized rooms.
Hmm.
Or at least, there's multiple different rooms, but you got two different sizes. There's a small one,
Hmm.
and then there's the large arena,
Yes.
seats from like top to bottom. It's like it's like going to a theater or a play or like a music concert.
Yep.
It was fantastic. But that big theater is where we saw the Lego movie at for the first time.
Okay. Okay. I'm vaguely remembering this now.
Yeah. But I just remember seeing the Lego movie on the big screen. And like for people that don't know about this movie or didn't like they weren't around for that era at the time, this movie was a big deal.
Yes.
I can't I, I'm being forced to look this up now, but
Who's forcing
I'm
you? Who's holding you at gunpoint, Jake? I only see you.
the Invisible Man.
Oh.
I can't see him, so that's why I'm afraid. Oh, there's one thing about this movie that I forgot to mention that's pretty important is that it was directed by Phil Lord and Christopher Miller.
Mm-hmm.
They beforehand, I know they did like Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. They did uh 21 Jump Street.
Did they do 21 Jump Street?
I think they did.
Oh, no. That got me curious. Okay, Phil
Let's
Lord.
see.
Well, it kind of helps that his first credit
Yep,
is for the Lego Movie.
yep,
Wait.
21 Jump Street. They were the directors for it.
Oh, we're looking for directorial. Okay. Yeah. They directed 21 Jump Street, 22 Jump Street, Lego Movie, Clay with a Chance of Meatballs, and this phenomenal TV series called Clone High. Or at least the first
That's
13
right. That
episodes.
was one of their early projects that they worked on.
Yep.
Yeah, Clone High was a pretty cool show.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't watch it growing up, but seeing like some of the episodes, it was pretty good.
Yes.
Um, yeah, yeah, but the Lego movie,
Mm-hmm.
I remember it being spectacular because, besides the very impressive animation work, which I'm trying to, and again, I'm trying to look this up, but
What are
this
you
would have,
trying to look up?
I'm trying to look up how long it took to make the Lego movie because when
Oh,
you're
it
dealing with stop motion, it takes
right.
a, it
I,
takes a while.
yeah, it didn't take. Now you got me looking this up. Hold on.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you
I
got it?
kind of found something. So the development of the Lego movie began in 2008,
Mm-hmm.
and it was handled by different people at the time, but it was still under like Warner Brothers.
Right.
And they had some directors switched for a while before uh Lord and Miller took over.
Mm-hmm.
And
Which is usually a sign that a movie's going to flop poorly.
yeah. So they came into the film around
Thank you.
2000. They came into the film around 2011.
Mm-hmm.
So the movie was probably in production hell for uh try, trying to think 5 years.
Yeah, probably. Well, yeah.
Yeah,
Because then it would.
5 years,
Mhm. Yep.
and then
Well, I mean, to be fair, you're doing stop motion with Legos. They
yeah,
used a lot of moving parts just to.
yeah, but I bet switching directors can heavily impact the time of any project, though.
Hmm.
It's
Yes.
kind of I don't know if you know the game, but like it's kind of like a Duke Nukem Forever. the game that was like in development hell for nearly a decade.
Right.
Um, that's a story for another day. Anyways,
Yes.
but but it wasn't just like the animation that was pretty good. It was also it had a very compelling story. It was kind of simple, but it had some pretty cool plot twists in there at the time.
All right.
And it had very compelling characters too. The main character, Emmett, who is voiced by Chris Pratt.
Yep.
Um,
Remember, if you're thinking about where everything went wrong and why Chris Pratt voices everything, go back to the Lego
it's a
movie
Lego movie.
because that's where it all
Yeah.
started. And then it spiraled into him being Mario and Garfield. I thought there was some.
And
What was that?
and you're forgetting Star-Lord.
Oh, he was born to be Star-Lord.
Hey, hey.
Hey, what? No.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah, so the character Emmett, voiced by Chris Pratt, um, is a very compelling character.
mhm.
So, and I guess I should have said this. We're going to be saying some spoilers in the movie,
Well,
most likely.
here's what I'm thinking. This is an 11-year-old movie. Yes, it's been 11 years. Oh wait, no, it's a 10-year-old movie because it was released in 2014.
Yeah, it's a decade. It's over a decade now.
You
So
feel old yet, Jake?
get back to me when I'm 30.
Okay, so that's 2 years from now.
2 years. 2 years.
Oh, it's gonna feel like 2 years. uh,
Anyways, but the character Emmett, very compelling character
mhm.
because at first, he's just trying to follow the rules. And it's a pretty cool plot too, because like when you take out a Lego set, you're most likely wanting to follow the instructions. And what does Emmett do? He's following the instructions for
Wait, hold on.
every day. I'm saying some people. This doesn't apply to everybody.
I was gonna
Just
say,
saying.
some of us were born master builders.
You and I both.
Yep.
Anyways, but he's just following the instructions for like not just building, but like just day-to-day life. Everyone is.
Hmm.
And the person that's like controlling everything, Lord Business, who he's voiced by someone who's fairly pop. Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell
I was
is
gonna
who
say,
voices
someone who's
it.
very popular.
It took me a minute, okay? The guy that is an elf and probably some other movies.
Oh, he's in a lot of movies.
Yeah,
He's in
I
Step Brothers. He's in Barbie. What was There was one movie that came out within the past couple of years with Will Ferrell in it that I enjoyed, and I don't remember what it was. Oh, Spirited. He was in the movie Spirited, which is another Christmas Carol movie. That's going to be something
yeah.
for later too. I'm going to mention every version of a Christmas Carol I've seen.
Yeah. So, yeah, anyways, Lord Business is trying to control everything, you know, put everything into his own image and whatnot. And then as Emmett explores more of the world, he realizes that not everything is all sunshine and rainbows. Well, there is some sunshine and rainbows, but
Yeah,
like it's being blocked by Lord Business's walls. I just realized something, and and this is not to get political, but like we basically had the whole build a wall thing before it became a meme.
Ah, so that's where Trump got the idea.
Yes, he took it from Lord Business. We know what you did.
Hmm. I mean,
Yeah. Anyways, but he breaks through all the walls and he finds out that there are different worlds out there that are
mhm,
just full of creativity, but they're all being controlled by Lord Business. And along the way, he goes through a variety of different characters. There's Wild Style,
yeah.
who's this punk girl that, has a hard exterior, but actually has a lot of depth and care in the inside. Um,
Mhm.
and then we
And
got
don't forget
Batman,
yeah, Batman. You can't
the
forget about
best,
Batman.
yeah,
Again, he is the
the
best
best
Batman we've
character.
ever seen in the movies, and I will explain this in a different episode.
I believe we're black, and
Sometimes
sometimes
very, very
very,
dark
very
gray.
dark gray. Awards.
It's pronounced Dumbledore. No, I will
Um,
say Vitruvius is by far one of my favorite characters other than Batman in that film, mainly because uh the voice actor for Vitruvius, Morgan Freeman, is one of my all-time favorite actors. He is phenomenal in the Lego Movie and he is phenomenal in Shawshank Redemption.
yeah. Also, on the note of Vitruvius, the staff that he holds in for most of the
Yes,
movie
the
after he's
half-eaten
blind.
sucker.
Yeah, the half-eaten sucker.
Hmm.
Um, it's kind of cool in the movie because, of course, the Lego movie had like Lego sets when it first released,
Hmm.
and they were quite cool.
Right.
But Vitruvius's staff, you know, they couldn't just package like a half-eaten sucker. They had to use like different pieces to convey that.
They could have been creative with it.
Yeah, maybe we should take a look at Lego sets at some point for our podcast.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Anyways, and then we got Unikitty, uh, half unicorn, half cat, who's like all sunshine and rainbows, but is also very gloomy and also very angry.
Hmm.
She's a mix of different emotions.
Yes, just don't get her angry. You won't
Yeah.
like her when she's
And
angry.
then and then we got Benny, who's like the 1980s spaceman. And this
Mm.
is this is actually very interesting because um it actually dates back to like Lego's early years, when
Hmm.
they were started doing space sets. And
Yes.
the cracked helmet that Benny wears?
Hmm.
That
Yep.
wasn't in that was like an actual thing in the sets. Well, I think it was like a molding thing.
Yeah, it was oh, I'm pretty sure it's because no one's ever made something like that.
Yeah.
There was an issue with how it was being made.
Yeah, I think that was when they first started making actual minifigures because
Hmm.
beforehand they were just making brick build figures
Yes.
early on.
By the way,
Um
there's a YouTube video, or there was a YouTube video called The Lego Story.
Mhm.
It actually talks about the story on the creators create or like the creator growing up and
Yeah.
making these Legos for
Yeah,
his kids.
I've actually seen that thing. It's on Lego's channel. I'm pretty sure it's still around. I'd be surprised if they took it down.
Right.
Yeah. But like it's a really cool short video.
Hmm.
Both of us recommend it. Yeah.
Yes.
Anyways, back to Benny. He's
Hmm.
he's just very crazy about building spaceships.
Yep.
Um and he's a very, very optimistic guy. And then lastly, but certainly not the least, you got Metal Beard, who's
Hmm.
like just ahead with like a gigantic pirate body. By the way,
Don't forget his
I,
organs. The
yeah,
movie specified he only left with just his head and organs.
yeah, yeah. But that whole pirate build of him,
Hmm.
excellent, very
Yes.
creative. The
Oh,
way that
so
everything
creative.
is just like placed together. And also his pirate ship that he drives is also pretty
Hmm.
cool as well.
I mean, it's
Um,
second best compared to Emmett's double-decker couch.
yes, the double decker couch.
So that everyone can watch TV together and be buddies.
Let me handle this. That is the worst idea ever.
Oh,
Um, Maybe we should make a double decker couch of our own.
yes. Yes. See,
Our
that's going to be
movie,
the future of Nothing Zilch Nana. Instead of having these two meetings in different buildings, we're going to have one building where we meet. One of us is on the bottom, one of us is on the top, and the only reason people will know is because they'll see the people or the person on top's legs dangling over the head of the person at bottom.
yeah. Anyways, but the plot of the movie is handled very well.
Mhm.
And at the towards the end of the movie, you realize that all the figures going about and their plot together is all being controlled by like this little boy, and that his dad, which is Will Ferrell, yes, he actually
Mhm.
personally appears in the movie, is like trying to like uh make sure everything is like put into place and whatnot, probably for his like business meeting or something. It's not explicitly stated in the movie.
Mhm.
Which side note about that whole thing. That's probably my one thing with the movie because as much as I do like the message, I mean, I get the fact that like Legos are toys and that, kids are supposed to be the ones like playing with them and whatnot, and that they're supposed to be creative with them. But,
Mhm.
you know, since the dad was trying to do like a whole business thing with them, you
Mhm.
know, I don't know, because like if I was in the position of that kid, I wouldn't be messing with my dad's stuff or whatnot, because that
Right.
just seems
Well, to
like
be fair, the kid was young.
yeah.
Well, the kid was young, and it's Legos, and it was mentioned in the film that the son and father were originally getting the Legos for themselves, or for themselves to have like a father-son bonding time.
Yeah, yeah. We're gonna have to rewatch the movie together at some point.
Yes,
It has been a while, and
it has
I
been
do
way too
think
long.
yeah, but I think it's I've seen it a couple years ago and like it holds up very well.
Hmm.
Um yeah, but towards the end of that movie, you know, you realize that like, Emmett is supposed to be like this chosen one and whatnot. And that's when Vitruvius tells him that like, oh, there isn't a chosen one. I
I
just
made
made
it
it
up.
up. It just has to do with who you are on the inside.
Mm. Not gonna
You have
lie.
the
Oh, on. You can finish first.
yeah, but the message is just like you have the power to change and actually do good for the world,
Hmm.
even if, you know, you can't see what is ahead of you and whatnot.
Right. So, not gonna lie, the whole making up a prophecy sounds like something I would do as an old man. And just not let anyone know until I'm on my deathbed. It's like, what about the prophecy where I get my family's gold back? Prophecy? Oh, I made that up. What?
The ultimate roasty section on your deathbed.
Yes. Yes. No.
Um, no, but needless to say, really great movie.
Mm,
Um, very well executed. And just to check and see real quick, because I'm pretty sure it made a ton of money in the box office.
oh yeah, I think for a time it was one of the highest grossing animated films.
Yeah, so its budget was between 60 to 65 million, and then the
Hmm.
box office was 470.7 million.
Right.
So that's like 8 times the
Hmm.
amount.
Yes.
Um, and then from there, we started getting other Lego movies.
Hmm.
Because
Yep.
afterwards, we got Lego Batman, we got
And then
Lego
after,
Ninjago.
yep, not to be confused with the Lego Ninjago TV series.
That actually is true.
Hmm.
Um, and then the Lego Movie Part 2.
Hmm. And now we're getting a new one releasing soon.
Wait, really?
Kind of. It's
Oh, wait.
it's
No,
more a movie
yeah.
made in the style of the Lego movie, but it's a movie about Pharrell Williams. You know, the guy
Yeah.
who sings the songs for all the Despicable Me movies.
Yeah, I remember now. I remember now. I guess it's been out of my mind because I haven't seen any ads for it as of late.
There's been quite a
But
few.
well, I've seen them before, but I haven't seen them this week.
Right.
Um,
I'll have to send you one then. Next time I see one, send it right to you. Get to
yeah.
see Lego
And
Snoop Dogg.
anyways,
All right.
maybe how much time do we have?
We've got 2 minutes.
Okay, so maybe we should save discussion for some of these movies for another day.
Yes, definitely. Just one last note on the Lego movie, though. I wish we got a Lego Batman movie part two, just because of how well the Lego movies have done.
I wish we got more Lego movies on Lego's own stuff, like Lego
Mhm.
Ninjago.
All right.
Except that bombed in the box office. Just
It was a good film still.
no, it was a good film. I'm not saying it's bad. I personally like it for different reasons. I'm just saying probably the reason why we haven't gotten something like, say, a Lego Bionicle movie made of
Hmm.
like actual like Bionicle figures is because they made Lego Ninjago, and probably the reason why it did so low in the box office is because people were like, oh, they're just selling their stuff.
I mean, probably. I mean, that's Lego all the time, though.
Yeah, that's true. And Lego Ninjago was actually the movie sets were fairly cheap when they first came out
Hmm.
alongside the movie.
Right. All right. Well, I will say, because I'm getting the notification that we have less than a minute, that it's about time to wrap up. So for one last time, until next week, I'm Mr. Xavier Dean,
And I'm Jacob Green.
and we'll see you in the next video. Have a good night.
Sayonara.